everyone. This is Ann White, and I'm here with Kimberly Burnham, and we are the owners of the Creating Calm Network Publishing Group, and we are here to bring you the Writer's Toolbox, where each week we bring you a tip, a trick, a technique, a topic about writing. And today we're going to be talking about the power of the anthology and the benefits and how to find an anthology. And actually, I think, Kim, you were an author before an anthology experience, were you not? You had a couple of books published, The Fractal Nature.
Right, Our Fractal Nature, A Journey to Self-Discovery and Connection.
But
yes.
Anthology, and that's what I was trying to think. I think my first published piece was in an anthology, and it was in one of Christine Closer's, can you see it, Pebbles in the Pond. And one of the things about Pebbles in the Pond is I always say my life was normal before Pebbles in the Pond. And once I was in this anthology, everything changed because there is power to being in an anthology. And by being in an anthology, one of the benefits is you become a published author. So even if you have never published, but you would like to start a career, a path, you would like somebody to hear your voice, an anthology is a perfect and powerful way to be a published author. And Kim, why don't you share one of the major benefits of being an anthology with Amazon?
Well, there's so many benefits, but one of them is that anyone who is published in any way on Amazon is entitled to a free Amazon page. And, you know, Amazon allows you to set that up at no charge. Ann and I, we help authors set that up, and we have a package where we help you set up your Amazon authors page and help you promote that, which can be really awesome. But some of the things that you can put on an Amazon authors page, which is very high value real estate, are quite a long bio where you can talk about other ideas that you have, anything that you want to share with the world. Like, you think about how many people all over the world go onto Amazon. It's amazing how many people you can reach with your message if you have an Amazon authors page. You can also put up videos, which could be a book trailer that Ann is amazing at creating book trailers, but you can put up a book trailer, or you could put up a 10-minute video of you teaching something, so that you give people access to what gifts do you want to share with the world. And being in an anthology, you write, say, 1,500 words, 2,000 words, and you can have an Amazon authors page.
And you know, it's amazing the people who are authors of even books who miss this valuable piece of real estate. I was going to be promoting, one of the hosts on the Creating Calm Network was interviewing an author, and I wanted to do some promotion for them. So I looked up the book, I clicked the author's name, and it said, see the author's Amazon page, and there was nothing there. And so I don't know anything about this author that I would have liked to have promoted for a different thing that she was doing. So it really is a valuable, like you said, I love that, valuable piece of real estate, and it's something that helps in social media. You know where else I think it helps, Kim? If suppose somebody was a coach and they wanted to sign their name on their, you know, as they sign their name on the email, you also can put author of or author in, and I think it gives you credibility for all of your other work.
Right, and also you bring up, like, somebody on the Creating Calm Network radio show was interviewing an author. You know, people can go to your Amazon authors page and find out those interesting background pieces that they might want to talk further to you about. And so when you're creating that page, it can be good to really put questions that you like to answer interesting pieces of information about yourself that a radio interviewer might want to talk to you about. And really, that's also one of the benefits of an anthology, is that you get to put something of yourself, tell your story, or a piece of your story, share something, and then that's out there available to people to read, to get to know you better, and to get to learn from your story.
Exactly. And as an author, an anthology is a wonderful place to start because it gives you practice, practice, practice. And one of the first areas of practice is you have a deadline. And Kim and I have been talking in previous shows about the power of a deadline. It helps you to then set up a daily schedule or a plan to get your piece done. So being in an anthology gives you that deadline that you're working against, that you can plan your strategy on how you're going to finish your article prior to the deadline. But what I like about anthology writing is you have a word count. Sometimes it's 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, and a word count gives you a chance to be creative because you have to set the scene in fewer words. And I used to be a rabbi in the pulpit, and I would be known for giving the short sermon. And I would say it takes me longer to prepare the short sermon than it would be to talk for an hour. Because to bring it in for 5-10 minutes, you really have to parse it and work it and get every word to be that gem. That's the same in an anthology. You could write, say, 5,000 words of extra, but to bring it in to that perfect piece in, say, 1,500 words gives you a lot of creative writing practice. So those are the two things that I like about writing for an anthology, is the practice. And one of the things,
right.
Kim, do you want to go about practice? Talk about getting your voice out. Let's do practice first.
Right. I mean, you bring up a good point that, 1,500 words or 2,000 words, whatever the word count is, that really requires you to use every word in an effective way. And, we talked on the Writer's Toolbox a few weeks ago about write hot, edit cold. And one of the things we talked about there is, just like get it all out. And so you might think, okay, this is the experience or this is the story that I want to tell, and you might write 5,000 words, and then really the crafting happens in the editing process as you bring that word count down and you think, wow, does this sentence, does this word really add to the reader's experience? Does it help them to understand what they can change in their own life, how they can move forward in a better way? Why does it matter whether I'm sharing this story or not? And all of those questions you get to explore when you're editing your piece for an anthology.
Right. And the other part that we both touched on, and I'm trying to think, this wouldn't be true of all anthologies, but many anthologies you're sharing a personal story. And oftentimes it's a very, something you might have even had as a private personal story, but it's a powerful one. And I know in several of the anthology pieces I have, they're very tragic things that happen to me, yet by sharing them, I am helping someone else who's gone through a similar situation, helping them to find their voice, their courage, sometimes even to heal. So it gives us a powerful chance when we are in the type of anthology that shares something of the person to share and help another person who's on that similar journey.
Right, and we've all learned things in our life and had experiences that have helped us to grow. And in a way, it's like you're on the path of life, and writing a story for an anthology is like just turning back a little bit, looking at the journey that you've come on, and then reaching your hand out to people who are on a similar journey, just to reach out to them to help bring them along in a better way. And so it can be such a powerful way to share and really help people who have not grown as much as you have, or have not traveled as far on the journey as you have, and just to help move some of those boulders out of the way for them, or help them see what's possible in the future for them. It can give hope, and that's, to me, such a valuable thing that we can share with people by telling our stories. And as we're talking about today, an anthology is a really, in many ways, easy but also powerful way to share an experience, to share a story.
True. And from a practical point of view, it's a wonderful way to get your word out in a bigger way. And Kim will share with you that kind of power, how more people can see your story just by doing the math.
Right, exactly. So that my little book, Our Fractal Nature, A Journey of Self-Discovery, I promoted that, and I told all my friends about it, and they bought it, and they shared it with their friends. But if you think about an anthology, I'm doing that. Like, the purpose for me being in an anthology is to share my story. I want to share it as widely as possible. So I tell all my friends about it, and then they share it with their friends. Well, you multiply that by 30 authors or 40 authors, and you have 30 times or 40 times the number of people that potentially could be reading your story. Because for me anyway, when I buy an anthology, I often will buy it because I know somebody who's in that anthology and I want to read their story or their poem or their experience. And but I don't just read, look at the table of contents, read their story, and then put the book aside, right? I mean, I have a treasure trove of things that people have shared, and so I read all of those stories, and so someone that you're not connected in any other way other than that you're connected to one of your co-authors, they're going to be reading your story and learning about you.
Yeah, and that's powerful. Kimberly, you just sent me an anthology, the month of the poet, and I put it right on my table because I live alone, so as I'm now trying to eat not in front of my computer but at my kitchen table, and still I'm incapable of eating without doing something, I first opened it up to your chapter and read the poems there, but obviously it's on my table so that I start reading ahead and back, and so I really, like you said, a treasure trove, some wonderful poetry, so thank you for sharing that. And that is one example of an anthology. And so we're going to talk about different examples. Do you want to start with even some of the inner press, or should we go to Christine Closer first?
Right. I think that there are a lot of similarities in what an anthology is, even though the content might be very different. So that I've been in quite a number of anthologies that have been published through Inner Child Press, and those are all poetry or very short vignette stories. And everyone is sharing those experiences through poetry. So it's a different way of sharing, but I think the benefits of an anthology are all the same, because if you have one poem in one anthology, you still get an Amazon authors page. You're still connected to your co-authors in some way. You still get to read and learn from your co-authors. So all of those benefits you still get, whether it's one short poem even in an anthology. I've also been in a number of anthologies that are nonfiction, sharing of your story, And each one I get to choose, okay, what story am I going to share? But another thing that really has kind of been different in different anthologies is how well do I get to know my co-authors. So that in the Year of the Poet, the anthology, the poetry anthology that I just sent you, I'm connected through Facebook with all of my co-authors, and there aren't that many compared to some anthologies, and so I get to know them. I get to know their stories, what they share on Facebook. I also get to see.
And more than making friends, like in that situation, I'm sure that when you see them post something about their practice, their business, their work, you share that again with yours. So it's also another way of social networking as well as making friends.
Right, and you and I are in 2 anthologies, Pebbles in the Pond, Transforming the World One Person at a Time, and then also No Mistakes, Changing Adversity into Abundance.
And both of those are what we'd call the personal stories. You're sharing some kind of a challenge you had and how you overcame it, as one example.
Right, and those are through different publishing houses. Pebbles in the Pond was through Christine Closer at Transformation Books, and the way that I found out about that is Christine Closer had an authors event, and I found out about the opportunity to be in that, and she's going to be having that event, the Transformational Authors event, coming up, and you can click the link below to go over and take advantage of that free training as well. But
and Kimberly, where is the link below? Is it when you're looking at the Google Hangout, you posted the link there?
No, it'll be on on our Creating Calm Network Publishing Group website. Where, of course, we have a treasure trove of information, and people will be able to look that up.
So, Kimberly, in order for someone to see that, because I want to talk about Christine Closer's approach a little bit, but to see that link, if you went to our website, which is Creating Calm Network Publishing Group, and then, Kimberly, would it be under anthologies?
Well, under anthologies, it's also on the front page of our website right now, but it'll be below where this video is posted. It'll be below there as well.
And the reason I want to talk again about Christine Closer's work, and like I say, let me get my screen up so we can see it. I'm here in the little one. There. This is Pebbles in the Pond. This is Wave 1. You see I've got my stickers on it. It's a well-worn book. But this was her first group of authors that I think that she worked with in this way. Now they're up to Wave 4. Is that correct, Kimberly?
Wave 3, yeah, is about to come out. And in fact,
now for Wave 4, right?
Yes, it'll come later. But Wave 3 is about to be published, and in fact, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be on their Master Heart Call, which is one of the benefits that many anthologies have, is they have training calls that are just for the people who are in the anthology. I'm going to be on there talking about how to set up your Amazon authors page and giving some ideas and tips about that to those authors that are going to be in Wave 3 of Pebbles in the Pond, Transforming the World One Person at a Time. And those calls or those connections, it really, like, you and I met as part of that, and we've really built something amazing with the Creating Calm Network Publishing Group, and a number of other things. We've gone on to publish our own anthologies, Tears to Triumph, for example, as a result of our connection through that. And many of my friends now, really people who've become my friends and colleagues, I started out as that first gathering on Facebook to read each other's stories, and you know, we got sneak previews of what people were going to be writing, and that is so valuable.
Yeah, because you can be in an anthology by mailing in your article, and out comes the book, you're in an anthology. But the next step up is you can do that and then try to network with your other co-authors. But Christine Closer, I think, set the bar very high with gathering people who have ideas and stories to tell, connecting them through Master Heart calls, and these were every week or every couple of weeks where the authors would get together. She would do some teaching, but also we would do some sharing. Then there was a private Facebook page, and it culminated in a retreat where we met each other from all around the world. And I have to say that some of my very best friends and colleagues were from that experience. People in Australia, people in England. The connection we have made is worth the price of admission, the work of doing in the anthology. I think the friendships, much less the business connections. So to me, Kimberly, that's sort of the high paradigm, is that complete connection with your other authors, and all along the line is what you can do with an anthology. Would you say?
Right, and what we did was, in a sense, we did it a little bit in a different order with Tears to Triumph, where we had a telesummit where each of the authors were interviewed and had a chance to really share their story with the world through a voice audio format, and then were able to share their story in an anthology. And that many of the people that were involved in that project came from our connections to people in other anthologies, and then there were new friends that we were able to make through that, and help other people share their story with a much broader audience.
Right. Kimberly, would you speak to Tears to Triumph? Right now, Tears to Triumph is available as an ebook, and that's, again, the project Kimberly and I were talking about. It's available now as an ebook, but we're going to be opening it up as we begin to publish it as a tree book, which is a paperback book. And there are some opportunities there, because you may be asking yourself, okay, how do I find an anthology? How do I get published in an anthology? So this will be one example, and we'll talk about other ways too.
Right, there are lots of ways to find anthologies, and as you mentioned, we're going to be adding some authors to our one of our anthologies, Tears to Triumph, and I mean, a great way to find an anthology to be in is to contact publishing groups like the Creating Calm Publishing Group and see what they're doing. If you go on to Amazon and look up anthologies, often publishing groups that have published one anthology will be publishing other anthologies, and you know, are kind of always working on them. I know we're working also on another anthology that will come out in the fall that is entitled Music, the Carrier of Intention in 49 Jewish Prayers. And that, of course, is a very different one. And the theme, but this is a point, that anthologies often, they're around a certain theme. And the title often tells you what is that theme that they're around. And so in Music, the Carrier of Intention in 49 Jewish Prayers, that rabbis, cantors, and lay people are writing stories about intentionality in their the way that they pray or worship. And you know, so far what I've seen, very inspirational stories that that I'm getting in, and really it's a look into the the heart of a community.
Right.
And that's, you know, whether, for me, anthologies really are about community. And so when you're trying to find an anthology to be a part of it is finding what community do you fit in well with. Do you want to inspire the world? Do you want to share a specific kind of knowledge with the world?
Kimberly, is there a bicycle anthology going on? I know you rode your bike across America. Is somebody doing a bicycle anthology? Or
yes. So I have.
Are we doing one? Are we doing one?
Yes. It's under the auspices of the Creating Calm Publishing Group.
Oh, good thing I tuned in today.
And it's called Bicycling for Food. Last summer, I rode my bicycle from Seattle to Washington, D.C., a little over 3,000 miles. And it was in support of sustainable agriculture. And so that was a community. Hazon, which is the group that I went with, that was a community. And then out of that community, I put together an anthology, which is currently as an ebook on Amazon, but it's from a number of different people, bicyclists, who share their story of that connection, their connection with bicycling and the natural environment, with food, with the environment, you know, concerned with environmental issues. And so, again, that one, I got connected to a community and then put together the anthology. Sometimes it's the other way around. You get connected to an anthology and then you start to learn about your co-authors. But, I mean, one of the things that we're doing at the Creating Calm Network Publishing Group is offering that anthology experience to communities, organizations, companies. So that if you have a group that wants to share a message and there's some common theme to that message, or there's a commonality in the group that you share, if you want to have an anthology, we can put together that whole anthology experience, which really includes not only talking with authors and working with each person to get them to really craft and create a story that they're proud to share with the world, but also how to use that for networking, how to set up your Amazon authors page, and how to get a hold of your co-authors. You know, if you're already part of a community, then that's an easy thing. If you're not part of a community but just learning, there are lots of things that the publisher can do to facilitate or not that experience of connecting and networking with your co-authors.
Right. You know, what I would suggest if someone has a personal story that they would like to share is to check out on Amazon the ebook, Tears to Triumph.
Absolutely.
See what it's like, see how it resonates with you, and if you think your story would be the type that should be in that anthology. I think we're still here. We got a blip that said we're having a technical challenge, but I'm back. Are you back?
Okay, I'm back now.
Okay, so what I was saying is after you look at From Tears to Triumph, if it resonates with you, we're going to be republishing that with more authors and publishing it in paperback too. So go to our website, Creating Calm Network Publishing Group, contact either Kimberly, Burnham, or myself, Ann White, and let us know that you would like to get more information about being a part of Tears to Triumph. It's a great anthology, and I think when we revamp it and do the revised edition, it's going to be absolutely super. So that's one way if you have a personal story to tell.
Right, and that's an example of something that's thematic, but it's a very broad theme. It's something that you've learned through an experience that maybe was difficult for you and caused you some tears, but that you learned something through that experience, and something that you want to share, a triumph, a way of overcoming what happened, in a way that then other people can learn and maybe avoid so many tears, and just really know that those triumphs are possible.
I guess you can see, anybody watching this, that Kimberly and I are anthology fans. So
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful way to not only get started, but both of us are published in our own books and things. But we still look for anthologies. I'm always scouting to see if there's an anthology that I can put a story or a poem or something in. And now, as Kimberly said, we're publishing various anthologies. So if you have ridden your bike across America and want to be included, Kimberly will find his way.
I will find a spot for you. And really, just in conclusion, there's the saying that a rising tide lifts all boats, right? That if the tide is going up, all the boats also rise. And my sort of twist on that is an anthology lifts all spirits, and that just reading those stories, it lifts people, it inspires people, it helps people. But as that lift is happening, it not only inspires all of the readers, but also other co-authors are also readers, and the momentum of that story going out into the world, it shares that out in a much, much broader way. And so, yes, I love anthologies.
Yeah, and like I say, when I got the gift from you the other day, it just made my day, because I thought, again, look at all these different authors I get to meet after I savored Kimberly's chapter in the book. And in the anthology, of course, oftentimes you get your picture, and of course you get your bio. So it's just another way for people to know who you are. Kimberly, you know what I was thinking for next week is grammar gremlins. Those grammar kind of things that we could each look for our favorite ones and how we've learned to overcome them. And also, I have a couple that I have yet to learn, but I know where they are, so I usually ask someone. So maybe we can ask some of our author friends what are their grammar gremlins, and bring it to our listeners.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
So we thank you for being with us here at the Writer's Toolbox, and we urge you to check out our website. It is Creating Calm Network Publishing Group. And we've used the word treasure trove so many times, but it is. Every time you push a link, there's always some wonderful discoveries. But check out the anthology, since that's what we were talking about today, and you'll see some great anthologies and experiences right there. So, Kimberly, thank you for being with us. I know it's early in Spokane, Washington, especially since you come from Banff, where you were in Canada just minutes ago.
Yes.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Shalom, and keep writing. Just keep.
All right. Yes, write hot.
Yes.